When you want to be the best, we cannot stay on the same level because people start knowing Alex more.
Yeah.
For sure, we know also the opponents.
A little out of words. I think this time of the year is a tough moment for a lot.
And you feel that you can do well, and if you do well, you have chances to win for sure.
So for sure, Tao Sanch is also having a good year this year, career high. So what do you think of?
Shocker in Abu Dhabi, the moment Alex Eala forced a diplomatic breakdown. They say diplomacy is the art of silence. It is a world of stiff suits, rehearsed handshakes, and strict lines you do not cross. In the world of international relations, you stay in your lane. You sit in the VIP box. You clap politely. And you never, ever let them see you sweat. But what happens when the emotion of a nation becomes too loud to ignore? What happens when a 20-year-old girl with a tennis racket does something so electrifying that the rulebook just evaporates? Welcome back to Court Vision Plus. Today, we are not just talking about tennis. We are talking about the moment the Philippines took over the United Arab Emirates. We are talking about a week in February 2026 that started with a tennis match and ended with a scene so raw, so unscripted, and so deeply human that even the most seasoned diplomats in that stadium were left completely stunned. You have heard the stats. You have seen the scores. But you have not heard the full story of what happened in Abu Dhabi when Alex Eala walked onto the court and the Philippine ambassador walked out of the script. No rulebook approved it. No protocol allowed it. And yet, it happened. Because in Abu Dhabi, a moment meant to be ceremonial suddenly became historic. What followed wasn't polite applause in a controlled setting. It was a surge of emotion that rippled straight through millions of Filipinos watching from home, from Manila to Mindanao, from nurses' quarters in Dubai to construction sites in Sharjah. For one electric, trembling stretch of time, sport, identity, and pride collapsed into one unforgettable scene. Alex Eala didn't raise her voice. She didn't ask for permission. Her presence alone shifted the room. She turned a foreign stage into Filipino ground. And what should have been a routine international tennis tournament became a declaration: we are here, we belong here, and you will know our names. But to understand why a high-ranking government official would risk looking unprofessional just to be part of the moment, you have to understand the pressure cooker that is the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, and the extraordinary woman who blew that cooker wide open. Picture the scene. Zayat Sports City. The desert heat is cooling down, but the air is thick with anticipation. This isn't Manila. This isn't Quezon City. This is the UAE, home to hundreds of thousands of overseas Filipino workers, people who left their families, their comfort zones, and their homeland to build a better life in the sand and skyscrapers of the Arabian Gulf. For these fans, Alex Eala isn't just an athlete. She is a reminder of home. She is the daughter they haven't seen in years. She is the success story they are working double and triple shifts to fund for their own children. She is proof that Filipinos belong anywhere and everywhere greatness lives. When Alex Eala plays in the Middle East, she does not have fans. She has an army. And in February 2026, that army was ready for war. Let us rewind a little, because context is everything. Coming into the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, the chatter around Alex Eala was getting loud. And not all of it was positive. The critics, and yes, we are talking about the keyboard warriors and the tennis purists who love to tear down rising stars, had plenty to say. She has plateaued, they typed. She cannot handle power hitters. She is too small. She got lucky in Miami last year. The usual noise that always surrounds someone threatening to break into the elite. She had come off a quarterfinal exit at the inaugural Philippine Women's Open, a stunning and historic tournament, the first WTA-sanctioned event ever held in the Philippines, a tournament that only exists because of her. Think about that for a moment. Her rise was so seismic that it quite literally changed the landscape of tennis in her own country, forcing the WTA to put a tournament on Philippine soil for the first time in history. And she exits in the quarterfinals and people call it a disappointment. That is the impossible standard this young woman is held to. But rather than whine about it, she packed her bags, flew to the UAE, and got to work. She arrived in Abu Dhabi sitting at a career-high world ranking of number 45. Incredible, yes. But in the brutal ecosystem of the WTA Tour, if you are not moving up, people assume you are moving down. She needed to make a statement. She needed to remind the world that 2025's breakout season, highlighted by a stunning semifinal run at the Miami Open that included victories over Iga Swiatek, Jelena Ostapenko, and Madison Keys, the kind of scalps that make your head spin, was not a fluke. That she was not a one-season wonder. That Alex Eala was just getting started. And then she walked out onto the court for her first-round match against Zeynep Sönmez of Turkey, and everything changed, not just the scoreline, but the entire atmosphere of the tournament. The stands were packed with flags. Blue, red, white, and yellow. The 3 stars and a sun were everywhere. It looked less like an international tennis stadium and more like the smart Araneta Coliseum on a Sunday afternoon when the hometown crowd is electric and the roof might just come off. Filipino staff at the hotel where she was staying had even left a note on her mirror that read, "Proudly welcoming our Filipino tennis star." The Abu Dhabi Open's own social media team posted a photo album of her surrounded by fans with the caption, simply, "All the love for Eala." The home court advantage had traveled 4,000 miles, across time zones and oceans, and was very, very ready. And Alex didn't just beat Sönmez. She dismantled doubt itself. 6-4, 6-3. It was clean. It was precise. It was professional. She moved Sönmez around the court like a chess master, using that lefty topspin to open up angles that simply should not be possible at that pace. The crowd was delirious. But the real drama? That was still waiting in the wings. Because the second round was not going to be a chess match. It was going to be something far messier, far more terrifying, and far more beautiful. Enter Alexandra Sasnovich, a Belarusian veteran with years of WTA experience and a game built for exactly this kind of pressure situation. She is the kind of player who does not panic, does not wilt, and does not give you anything for free. She is the nightmare matchup for a player trying to ride momentum because she simply refuses to let momentum build. Flat. Direct. Ruthless. And the opening of the match went exactly according to Sasnovich's script. She dominated. She was overpowering on her serve, barely conceding a break point, and repeatedly putting Eala on the defensive with heavy returns and early ball striking. The first set went 6-2 in favor of the Belarusian. It was not just ugly, it was concerning. The Filipino crowd, usually so electric, went quiet in the way a crowd goes quiet when they are genuinely afraid. You could feel the collective anxiety shifting around the stadium. The "oh no, not again" energy was unmistakable. But Alex Eala does not do giving up. But nobody told Alex Eala she was done. She held serve. 4-1. A ripple of applause. Polite hope. Then she broke back. 4-2. The volume went up a notch. Then she held again. 4-3. And suddenly, Sasnovich, the cool-headed, unflappable veteran, started to look across the net and see something that wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't playing a 20-year-old girl from Quezon City anymore. She was playing a tidal wave. But then it got even more dramatic. Because Sasnovich, refusing to go quietly, broke again to lead 5-2, and suddenly had the chance to serve for the match. A match point materialized. The crowd held its collective breath. This was it. This was the end. Except it wasn't. Eala saved it. She forced her way back to 5-4. Then to 6-5. Then Sasnovich held her nerve to force a tiebreaker. Of course it went to a tiebreaker. The tennis gods would not have it any other way. In the tiebreaker, Sasnovich grabbed a 5-4 lead with the match seemingly on her racket. 3 more points and she would be in the quarterfinals. Alex Eala would be on a plane. But Eala won the last 3 points in a row. 3 straight. In a moment when the entire stadium, and everyone watching at 2 a.m. Philippine time, feared the worst, she found something extra. The final point, a winner that felt like it came straight from the heart rather than the racket, sent her to her knees on the court. Final score, 2 sets to 6, 6 sets to 4, 7 games to 6 in the tiebreak. From 0-4 down in the deciding set, saving a match point, clawing all the way back to win in a tiebreak. On court afterward, barely catching her breath, she said into the microphone, "These moments are moments I have only dreamed about. Selling out stadiums is insane, and being in these matches are just the ones that stick with you." The crowd erupted. Flags waved. Grown adults cried. OFWs who had been on shift all day stayed up until 2 or 3 in the morning watching on their phones, and they got every single second of their money's worth. It was the kind of win that does not just change a match. It changes a career. It changes a story. And amidst the chaos of that victory, something else was happening in the VIP section. Something that nobody was expecting. Now we need to talk about the protocol breach. The moment that has people across the diplomatic and tennis communities absolutely buzzing. Diplomats are trained to be neutral observers. Even when supporting their country's athletes, there is a decorum. There is a script. You sit with the other dignitaries. You present a calm, collected image of your country and your office. You are a symbol of something larger than your own feelings, and that means your own feelings have to stay tucked away behind the tie and the composure. Ambassador Alfonso Ver, the Philippine ambassador to the UAE, knows this. He is not a newcomer to this world. He is a seasoned professional who has navigated the complex corridors of international diplomacy. He understands the game. And before that night, the plan was completely standard. Alex would finish the match, do her on-court interview, wave to the crowd, and maybe, have a brief, formal photo opportunity with the dignitaries later, in a controlled setting, in a closed room, with the appropriate people in the appropriate positions for the appropriate photograph. That plan did not survive contact with the moment. What witnesses describe is nothing short of extraordinary. As the match ended and the stadium erupted, as thousands of Filipino fans lost their minds in the stands, as Alex fell to her knees and the flags waved and the Laban Pilipinas chant shook the rafters, the stiff, formal world of diplomatic protocol simply evaporated. The barrier between the VIP section and the rest of humanity dissolved. The ambassador was not going to watch this from above. He was not going to remain in his box, composed and distant, while his countrymen and women were experiencing one of the most emotionally charged moments in their lives in a foreign country. That was not the right thing to do. And so he did the thing that wasn't in the manual. He went to where the people were. He went to where Alex was. In a move that reportedly caused the security detail, trained for strict separation between VIPs and athletes in a post-match environment, to have a minor collective crisis, the ambassador abandoned the formality of his position and descended into the moment. Not as a suit. Not as a representative of the state. But as a Filipino. And the interaction that followed was raw, unscripted, and real in a way that no press release or state event ever could be. He validated her not just as an athlete for the records but as a national treasure, right there, on the hard court of Zayat Sports City, in front of God and the cameras and the thousands of OFWs who would share the images everywhere within seconds. It was the moment where the hierarchy of titles and protocols simply ceased to matter. There was no ambassador and citizen. There was no dignitaries box and commoners section. There was just an overwhelming, uncontainable surge of Filipino pride that made every distinction irrelevant. And this breach of protocol, this refusal to stay in the box, sent a message far louder than any official press statement ever could. It told the thousands of overseas Filipino workers in that stadium, she is one of us, and I am one of you. We are not separate from this moment. We are this moment. International observers called it unexpected. Some older diplomats privately raised eyebrows about the procedural departure. But inside the Filipino community, both in the UAE and millions of miles away watching on their screens, the reaction was entirely different. It was electric. It was everything. It was the kind of moment that gets shared, screenshotted, forwarded, and wept over, because it confirmed something that Filipino people in the diaspora often need to hear in explicit, unmistakable terms. Your country sees you, your country is proud, and your country's representative did not hesitate for a single second to stand beside you in your finest moment. That is not a protocol breach. That is leadership. The high of the Sasnovich comeback and all the drama that surrounded it carried Alex into the quarterfinals, where she would face the second seed, Ekaterina Alexandrova of Russia, the world number 11. And this is where we have to be real with each other, because the point of this story is not a fairy tale, it is something more valuable than that. Alexandrova had done her homework. In her on-court interview after the quarterfinal, she was unusually candid. I saw the last match, she said, acknowledging the Sasnovich comeback that everyone in the tournament was still talking about. She was fighting until the end. I knew it was going to be difficult, but I think the atmosphere was amazing today. The crowd, I know they were cheering for her, but the atmosphere was great. So I enjoyed my time on the court, and I'm happy I could finish in 2 sets because it was really difficult in the end. When Alex Eala plays, they are not in the background. When Alex Eala plays, they are the main event. They are the loudest people in the stadium. They are the ones forcing the cameras to look at them, forcing broadcasters to note the extraordinary Filipino presence, forcing WTA officials and tournament directors to acknowledge that these fans are unlike any other fan base in the sport. And when a high-ranking diplomat abandons his formality to be with them in their moment of joy, what that says to every Filipino worker watching from a phone screen in a break room or a shared apartment is this: you are seen. Your pride matters. This government official, this representative of your country, he felt what you felt. He couldn't help himself any more than you could. And he chose you over the rulebook. Alex Eala held a mirror up to the Filipino diaspora in Abu Dhabi and showed them how powerful they are when they stand together. She proved that a girl from Quezon City can walk into a stadium in the Middle East and turn it into a barangay fiesta. She proved that she can get knocked down 0-4 in the third set of a professional tennis match, stare down a match point, and somehow find a way back. She proved that she is the kind of person who, after losing in Doha, thanks her people in their own language and promises to fight on. The 2026 season is just beginning, and she is already leaving marks everywhere she goes. Her ranking of number 45 is a stepping stone, not a ceiling. Her doubles climb to a career high of number 99 in the world alongside Chen is a bonus chapter in a story that has barely reached its midpoint. The Indian Wells and Miami stretch ahead of her like a runway, and everyone who has watched her play knows what she is capable of when the conditions are right and the crowd is behind her. She came into Abu Dhabi as a challenger. She left as a phenomenon. She came into the Middle East as a tennis player. She left as a movement. The next time you watch Alex Eala walk onto a court anywhere in the world, do not just watch the forehand. Watch the crowd. Watch the flags. Watch the ambassadors nervously shifting in their seats, wondering whether the protocol they were trained to uphold can survive the force of what is happening in front of them. Watch the OFWs with their phones raised and their faces lit up like it's Christmas morning. Watch the way a foreign arena transforms, game by game, point by point, into something unmistakably, undeniably Filipino. Because with Alex Eala, you never know what history is going to be written next. And that brings us to you, Court Vision family. We want to know what you think. Was the ambassador right to break protocol that night in Abu Dhabi? Do you think that gesture meant more to the Filipino community than any official statement could have? Do you think Alex Eala will crack the top 20 by the end of this year? And what did that 0-4 comeback against Sasnovich do to you emotionally? Because we know we are not the only ones who were absolutely losing our minds watching it in real time. Tell us in the comments below. We read every single one, and we genuinely love hearing from this community. Your passion for the sport and for Alex Eala is exactly why we make these videos. If this story moved you even a fraction of how much it moved us, please smash that like button right now. It costs you nothing and it means everything for this channel. Every like tells the algorithm that stories like this one, stories that go beyond the scores and dig into the heart of what sport really means, deserve to be seen by more people. Share this video with every Alex Eala fan you know. Share it with every Filipino you know. Let us get this story out to the world, because the world needs to know about this extraordinary young woman and the extraordinary community that rallies behind her. And if you have not already joined the Court Vision Plus family, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell so you never miss a single video. We cover tennis the way it deserves to be covered, not just the statistics, not just the scorelines, but the emotion, the culture, the humanity, and the moments that remind you why sport matters in the first place. We are Court Vision Plus. We do not just cover the match. We cover the heart of the game. Until next time, keep your vision clear and your passion loud. Peace.
Congratulations on your win. What is the key for your rhythm and consistency? And I would like to know if you have a ritual or a specific preparation before you go on court.